Hey, welcome in. So happy that you're joining today for this presentation. And my name is Elena, and we are talking today about what is feminine radiance, how to really connect to our cyclical nature, like spiral feminine nature, how to connect to what I call inner moon. Either we're still on a cycle, or maybe we're like getting into perimenopause, maybe already menopause, we still can connect to inner moon. But this presentation is, I would say, the most helpful for women who are still on the menstrual cycle, because that will this information can help us to understand the gifts of each phase, understand the challenges and why they happen, really go into the understanding the symptoms that lots of women experience. And I will share some tools, like I call it biohacking tools, but also most of them related to the ancient feminine wisdom that women knew for ages, and somehow in our time it got a bit lost or forgotten. So I will start sharing the presentation. So the main intention for today's call is to reconnect with the sacred intelligence of the cycle within us, and use it to create a life that's filled with vitality, intimacy, and joy, which is a birthright. We just need to understand and reconnect with it. And also, I would touch on how then, from that more balanced state and connection to our feminine energy, how we can create this more harmonious relationships. Okay. So who is it for? So why I'm inspired to do this presentation? Because I do see lots of women really struggling with lots of issues, like health issues, but it's related to our hormones. So whether it's PMS symptoms, headaches, belly aches, mood swings, maybe it's actual menstrual cramps or lack of energy, those kind of just some obvious one, but there are lots of not obvious. Let's say like it's inability um, to get fit or lose like belly fat or anything related to fitness and nutrition. Often we run into obstacles because we don't understand how to work with the feminine body specifically, and it's very different than working with the masculine body, apparently. Okay, so who else is it for? If you would like to maybe get pregnant and have some fertility issues, you don't know why you cannot get pregnant, that can help you as well. So I want us to, like, as a result of this class, of this session, to look at a cycle as a whole, not just specific symptoms during different phases and or how we can treat the specific symptoms, which we also can. There are those like little tips here and there. But I want us to understand that it's really addressing the whole cycle and supporting our hormones, which we're going to learn how, in every phase, and then see how it's like investing, right? Invest in your money. So you'll see how um, the whole level of vitality and energy will become better. Um, and so let's say if you have PMS, if you balance the other phases, you might not feel the PMS anymore because it's not normal. It's just normalized, but it's all about imbalance in the hormones. We'll get into. Okay. So as I said, if you're feeling tired, stressed, or stuck, if you want to feel more creative energy and be more productive, that will also help. If you want to, if you long to feel in that flow, in that sensual flow, maybe that ability to feel pleasure again, to be, excited in relationship. Um, if you want to communicate and express your needs with more clarity and confidence, and really understand yourself first, where you're coming from, why you need it, so then your partner can hear you and can also support you in this journey. And it's also for men as well. I had some men in my previous presentation, and I hope they will see this recording as well, because they can really support their women by having this knowledge. And actually, before we continue, if you can just put in the chat, what's your main, let's say, you can put like issue or something you would like to change. What do you think is related to this topic in your life and your health and your vitality that really brought you here today? So is there anything specific? And if not, that's okay. If you just want to know like generally how to optimize your cycle and vitality. I'm also still, chat, I see. Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, I even overheard yesterday at work. I work as a therapist, and then I heard some coworkers talking about how they like a period system. It's like I was like celebrating it because it's at least it's not taboo to talk about it anymore. So that's already great. But then I also heard they both are struggling with some like with some pains, with the energy, with mood swings, and I actually promised them this recording as well. And yeah, so I just want to say those are probably the most complaints I hear, but it goes way beyond that. Mhm. Okay, postmenopausal. Yes, beautiful. You want to reconnect. Thank you so much for sharing this. So in postmenopausal women, what I've heard suggested is to you can actually connect straight to the moon, because we'll see like how the a monthly cycle will kind of like corresponds with the phases of the moon. Doesn't mean like when we're actually cycling we have to like be exactly connected to the moon. But if you don't have cycle, you can actually connect to the moon cycles and optimize each phase, as we're going to talk about it, with in correspondence with the moon. So you'll kind of it's almost when you pass postmenopausal, you'll have even more of that like spiritual connection to the rhythmical feminine nature. And definitely you still produce the hormones, right? So women after menopause, we still produce the hormones. It's just our adrenal glands produce them instead of our ovaries. So overall support for your health and vitality that we're gonna talk today, it will support those hormones that you produce, and it will make you feel better, feel you younger, feel more energized. All right, so let's continue. So that's the agenda for today. We'll talk about why it is essential for health, vitality, and intimacy to know the cycle. I'll introduce the 4 phases of the cycle within us, of the moon cycle, but I'll connect it also to the season. Again, just understand it's mostly a metaphorical connection, just so it's a lot better to kind of map it in our mind so we remember. Otherwise, it's like gets too scientific really fast. So we'll understand the gifts and challenges of each phase, and we'll learn how to optimize each phase with specific nutrition, exercise, different practices like yoga, meditation, spiritual practices, rituals, tantra, relational and social activities, and one of the most important, rest and sleep. That's what women forgot how to do properly. And as I said already, we'll go a little bit into the relationship. So how to see our relationship through the biological and spiritual lens. and what are practical steps we can apply to create more fulfilling and mutually uplifting connection and deeper intimacy. I just like this picture. Because I love the idea of understanding, the science, the biology behind it, but also saying that, yes, that's the wisdom, the intuition. I think there's something in the chat. Let's see. What do you mean you didn't get the most important thing? You still can get the most important thing. I think most of us didn't have this information, which I think so needed, so essential. I myself, so I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, how I got into it. So I myself found out that maybe like 7, 8 years ago, but I've been in wellness and fitness for over 20 years. So lots of years I was actually doing fitness in a very masculine way. And when you're in your 20, you can still get results if you do it that way because you're just resilient. But then at some point, if you don't respect, you don't honor your feminine nature. So if something is, don't worry, if you don't understand something I said yet, we are still going through the whole presentation and you'll get the recording as well. Hopefully what I'm saying now is making sense. So, okay. So I'm going to tell just a bit about myself, how I got into it. So I'm 46 years old now. And since I immigrated to Canada in 2000, I started to pursue my passion. So I became like a fitness instructor and personal trainer. Then I studied kinesiology at York University and this was teaching lots of classes. I got into spirituality and yoga. I did my training, went to India. So I went into all different kind of modalities of fitness, wellness, yoga, personal growth, all of that. And then at some point, so I thought it was working pretty well for me. I was at some point just a fitness manager as well. And then over a sudden, it was like after my 30s, in my 30s, but late 30s, I noticed that I don't have energy anymore. I got completely burnout. As I understood later, it's like adrenal fatigue. I totally lost the motivation of, and like really like just didn't feel good in my body. It was kind of disconnected, and I quit my job and I decided and it was a scare on my health. I had like a lump on my thyroid, so that kind of got me like really alert. But intuitively I felt that it's not just about going to the doctor and removing it. It's something deeper I need to work on. And I went on some spiritual journey, went to jungle of Amazons, worked with shamans, but eventually I went to Costa Rica and connected with some community there when women were actually learning this ancient moon wisdom. There was like moon dance ceremony, again, that spiritual connection, the elders were teaching us. And but that was mostly like kind of esoteric spiritual wisdom. So I still didn't have that understanding of the infradian rhythms, and that's what it is. So we have not just circadian rhythms that follow in the sun, we also have infradian rhythms. So we have to follow the monthly hormonal cycle because it's very complex. So when I came back to Toronto, this information found me, right? Coincidence, I don't believe in coincidences, but I started to really dive into the science of hormonal and cycle syncing method and really understanding what's happening with our bodies, that we're not just little men or something. We're very different biologically. So yeah, that's kind of what got me into that. It helped me a lot on my journey. It definitely helped my clients because, as I said, unfortunately, I used to train my clients in the masculine way, just kind of pushing through everything, diet, exercise, work harder, work out harder. And at some point, it doesn't work because, yeah. We are different. Okay, so let's continue. So I'm gonna connect here each phase of the monthly cycle to a moon phase and to the season of the year. So you can kind of have this map in your mind. And for those of you who are postmenopausal, that will really help you to connect to the phases of the moon and align, your lifestyle with the phases of the moon. Okay, so let's start with the first phase after your period, so after your bleeding. So when you stop the bleeding, that's called follicular phase, and I call it inner spring. So that's the like kind of the archetype of like a maiden. It's like young, beautiful girls, sensual, smelling flowers, dancing in the rain. It's very kind of bright, like young energy of the space, and it corresponds with the hormones growing, specifically estrogen growing, which is the main feminine hormone. So during this phase, what else happens is actually our metabolism is lower. So that has to be like taken into consideration when we plan our exercise and nutrition. So if we talk about moon phase, that would be a new moon or after new moon. So it's a vaccine, so increasing vaccine moon, right? So growing moon phase. So you connect with that one. This phase is great for tantric practices because that's when your sexual sensual energy is really like growing, and we're gonna connect to that in more detail. So now after the spring, what comes is summer, and summer corresponds with the ovulation. So when we ovulating, the estrogen at its highest level, but what else spikes up is testosterone. So women also have testosterone, actually a lot of it. And during ovulation, it's really, you can see it on this here. See, yeah, if you can see my arrow here, you see this like yellow and blue. So this is the blue is the estrogen and yellow is the testosterone spiking. So, and that's what makes this phase kind of very, very passionate and outgoing. It's like perfect balance of masculine and feminine. So you in your most feminine, but you also you can be like have those masculine traits, like you want to kind of be very like driven, expressive. You can present things. You're also very sexual as well, but kind of like in that masculine way, sexual. Um, so it corresponds with full moon phase if you postmenopausal. Again, for women, if you're still cycling, don't think it as direct connection to the moon. For you, it's more metaphorical. Okay. So the archetype of this phase is like mother, and you're like full, like jutiness and sexuality, and also very like powerful protective energy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next phase after that called luteal phase, and it corresponds, in a metaphorical understanding, with the inner fall or inner autumn, and it also corresponds with waning moon, right? Decreasing moon. So after the full moon, that's your luteal phase, and there are actually lots of gifts in this phase as well that we're gonna talk about. I think of this as an archetype more like a wild woman. So that's kind of already when you have your queendom as a mother, and then you're almost ready to take care of more your tribe kind of. So it's kind of like very fruitful phase, and you'll see later on it's very good for productivity, working on your projects. You might not be too much in the like sexually expressive energy, but the sexual energy in this space is really good to use to work on your projects, which are also creative energy. And after that, we have the menstrual phase or inner winter or the dark moon, the moon, like, right before the new moon. And although lots of women think it's very inconvenient phase, it's actually very, very honored in ancient tradition and indigenous tradition. And it's the phase that's called like a ceremony. That's the most beautiful phase to just an inner work, to go inside. Your intuition is increased. So yeah, the archetype would be a crone or a sage, like a wise woman archetype of this phase. Move on. This is just a representation of these different phases in the pictures. I had so much fun, making pictures for this presentation. With AI, you can be so like expressive these days. So yeah, there we go. The spring, follicular, summer, ovulation, fall, luteal phase, and winter, menstrual phase. And now we're going to talk about how to apply biohacking tools through different activities in our life, like exercise, different practices, like the sleep patterns, work schedule, presentation schedule, like all of that, like how we can optimize it. But again, I want you to keep in mind that if the whole point is kind of balance the whole cycle and then see like everything is blooming and comes more in balance in every phase, rather than like just focusing on one issue, like whatever the most painful issue for you in the cycle. So we still need to optimize the whole thing and each phase. So let's start with talking about follicular phase, inner spring, new moon. So as I mentioned, metabolism is low, so that will affect fitness and nutrition. So generally higher intensity and less calories are recommended for this phase. So it's almost counterintuitive, but yes, we can exercise more and eat less at this stage, and we'll feel like it because of those actually rising estrogen and those changes that happen in the body. So the rising estrogen is also protects us. It's great for our immune system and for our brain. So we generally feel kind of more vitality in this phase because of rising estrogen. We'll feel increased need for intimacy and connection with the partner, with the divine. It's just overall sense of connection. So like we have to kind of build that oxytocin, and oxytocin is built with connection, and oxytocin helps us to build estrogen. That's like a prerequisite for building estrogen. So even anticipating a date or romantic connection, or going dancing, but like partner dancing. That's kind of one of my favorite biohacks. When I'm not in a relationship, I just go to like the bachata dancing, and it really fills me up. It helped me to support my estrogen, to boost my estrogen as well. So if our estrogen is supported, remember, if it's supported at this phase, you'll feel the results of it in all other phases of your cycle. It's going to go a lot smoother and feel a lot better. So what else about estrogen? It enhances cognitive function, motivation, social engagement, dopamine and serotonin levels are higher, contributed just overall better mood, confidence, energy. So let's see how we can support a little more. So we can optimize the nutrition in this phase. It's good to eat lighter, some lean protein, lots of vegetables, fruit, good oils, like even butter, because it actually helps our sex hormones. So not all fats are bad, as you know, probably, right? But the best are like olive oils, avocado, very good quality, of course. Yeah. Um, it can be a good time for intermittent fasting as well, if you're into it, or even a longer fast. I don't do long fasts anymore, but I do intermittent fasting during this phase. And the best workout, so this is the time when you can actually do more cardio, and you listen to your body, but you can do more intense workouts as the estrogen growing. Your joints are more protected. Estrogen is just a great protector for many things, including our joints. So you can do more of the kind of high intensity interval training, some heavier weight training, power yoga. So that's all will serve you. So during that phase, you can really kind of work on that, on building the muscles, building the endurance, and the relationship needs need to support that. And I already touched on that. So maybe communicate to your partner that you need a lot more like romantic attention during this phase specifically. Plan dates, go on dates, go dancing, and even just treating yourself like maybe with a going to spa or anything that makes you that like if you don't have a man in your life, or like your inner man is taking care of you. Take yourself on a date. That works. Also, kids, pets, that all like oxytocin producing beings. Okay, so harness the energy of new beginning and harness the tantric energies. As I mentioned, that's a great time for any tantric sensual practices. Okay, so we are moving to the next phase, the inner summer or full moon phase, and this is ovulation. So during this phase, estrogen, as I said, reaches the highest point with the testosterone. So that it boosts the libido and confidence. So if you want to, or if you work on any presentations, if you have any projects that you kind of need to showcase in front of the audience, that would be the best. That would be the best time for it, because you're just naturally gonna have a lot more outgoing charisma. So during this phase, metabolism is still low, just kind of like in previous phase, and very similar recommendations. So high intensity, you still can do cardio, heavy weights, HIIT workouts, power yoga, and even more. The nutrition leans even more towards like raw food, again intermittent fasting, and during both of those two phases, I don't know if you guys if you're into cold plunges, sauna cold plunges, but I find like it's my new discovered biohack. I love it. It just makes me feel so good. So you can do ice baths during these two phases, like the follicular and ovulatory. That would be the best. Other phases are good too. We'll talk about it, but maybe in a different proportion. But here you will feel really good if you do it. Okay, so romantic dates, of course, in intimate moments are, I'll just recommend it. You'll feel like it, right? When your estrogen is growing, testosterone is up. So yeah, that's the fertility window, of course, like you're familiar with that. Okay. Yeah, all right. So we talked about all of that. So again, just to summarize, it's a great time to schedule your outgoing presentations, dates, intimate moments, tantric practices. Um, what else? High intensity workouts, cardio workouts, fastings. ice baths, cold plunges. Yeah. Let's continue with luteal phase, which is like next 10 to 14 days after ovulation. And it's if you're postmenopausal, that would be the waning moon, right? Decreasing moon, and it's autumn in a metaphorical understanding of the seasons. So it's a time of actually of productivity and finishing projects, kind of grounding, preparing like for the rest ahead. And so what's happening during this phase? It's your progesterone is rising, your estrogen is dropping, but progesterone, it's another specific like female sex hormone, which also known as pregnancy hormone. So it's almost like you are a little pregnant during this phase. And in a sense, like you kind of building that nest within yourself, right? We're building that you lining in a uterus, right? That then gonna bleed out during menstrual phase. So that, as you know, see, it would take a lot of like energy and nutrients and like material to actually build. So your body is working hard to build that. Um, so that's why your metabolic rate is actually higher because of that. So the body is working harder, but you shouldn't. Yes, that's the phase when pushing too hard, it's not going to serve you at all. It's going to create more problems. It will create more stress. So if you try to do like long cardio workout here, right? Like women like just going for long cardio workouts. No, in this phase, that's not a good idea. Um, so this phase, so the metabolic rate is high if you keep doing lots of cardio, or if you start starving yourself with like diets or cutting your carbs here, which was okay in previous phases. So in this phase you actually need your carbs, and just overall you need more calories. um, you still can work out, you can do weights, you can do yoga, just nothing too stressful on your system, so your body doesn't think that you are under danger of starvation or over exhaustion, because then it's just gonna start taking away from you. Like it's because it's on that like really primal level, just trying to protect your future baby. Um, so yes, during this phase, uh, you don't want to create stress and more cortisol, because that will actually compete with your progesterone hormone, which we need to feel good. So what happens? That's the famous phase when when women feel the PMS symptoms, but it's usually because they don't understand that. This is very important. Don't push against your own body. Don't create more stress. Mm, because yes, if you're in cortisol mode or testosterone mode, so if you step into the very like kind of working, giving, like competing, high achieving mode during that phase, so you're very like this driven testosterone kind of mode, testosterone and progesterone also compete, so you're also taken away from your vitality if you do that. And to the certain point and to the certain time of your, you know, life, you can do it as I did it, and then like eventually just like you burn out. So yes, if I need to like really give you something very important, that will be probably one of the most important points of today's presentation. So be careful during your luteal phase. No overexertion. Don't put yourself into stress. Make releasing of the stress your priority. And naturally during this phase you might not feel overly sexual, and if you still want the intimacy and sex, you will need a lot more like foreplay and stimulation. And so it's good to communicate that to your partner, and first of all to know it yourself. Don't think like, oh, I'm broken. You're not broken, you just need a little bit different type of foreplay longer. So in terms of nutrition, I said yes. So it's more of the complex carbs, still like protein. What's it called? Legumes, beans, lentils, vegetables, more cooked food, more warm food. You want to keep that kind of coziness, kind of herbal teas. And there are some supplements too that you can help, but I will focus on that on a separate slide that you can see here already. So there are some great supplements that can help us to convert. So if we're already kind of okay, got too much cortisol, testosterone, it can help us to convert those hormones into progesterone. Yep, much. So we want to feel in that phase. We want to feel that like productive energy, like finishing things, getting things done, kind of. So focusing on productivity and also great time if you're in a partnership. It's a great time to actually maybe you need some space from each other to create them that like you actually miss each other. So this is the phase where it's great to go and connect with your girlfriends, go to your community, social circles, go sing with people, dance, whatever it is. Yeah, it's a great time to take break in the together all the time. Yeah, lots of self-care. Mhm. And as women, we do need to talk a lot more than men do, right? Did you notice that? Like hundreds times more. But again, it's also very related to the need of the like oxytocin, right? We need lots of oxytocin in order to produce our hormones like estrogen, progesterone. So it's like a prerequisite for our well-being. And one of the best ways to produce that oxytocin is talking, is sharing, but from the heart with someone you know that actually cares and listen to. So that's why women's circles are great, which I'm sure we'll do some. So women's circles, or just calling your friend, or of course if you like with your partner, you can share with the partner as well. But that would be the best on those like first follicular and ovulatory phase. And during luteal phase, girlfriends, therapists. So next phase, menstruation. It lasts 3 to 7 days. It's an inner winter or dark moon. This is really beautiful time. It's such a sacred time. What happens physiologically? It's our brain's hemisphere are more connected during this phase. There is a connective tissue called corpus callosum that connects those, right and left hemisphere, the analytical and emotional parts. They're already connected like 10 times more than in man, but during this phase, it's connected even more because other hormones are down. So that's when you get the most connection. That's how the body compensates for it. But it's also like such a beautiful state where you can really drop into your inner knowing, go into your intuition, inner vision. Great time for like inner work, inner parts work, working with your emotions, with trauma, ancestral trauma. I don't know if you believe in this, but I believe that like now we have the opportunity to heal not just ourselves, but ancestral things and future generations as well. So yeah, let's use this opportunity wisely. Okay, so I mentioned the hormones are at their lowest, and it encourages the stillness, self-care, visioning, and envisioning next cycle too. So you will feel probably low energy, but ideally, and that's what I find the hardest in my life still, like when I have work and clients, and it's really still really hard to take that time off. I try to at least take 1 or 2 days off so and totally like dedicated to the inner work, but it's not always possible. But that would be one of the main biohacks, really. Like it's take the time, go into the inner state. Like you're so sensitive during that phase that being too much out, seeing too many people can be overwhelming and can be very hard on your mood, and you can feel irritable. But really, it's not that because something wrong with you or with your cycle. It's actually because your body is telling you, yes, you need time on your own, you need time in nature. You don't want to be around people. Don't push yourself to go out, which I usually still just used to push myself to go out, and then it would be like feel guilty. Why didn't I feel social? Why I wasn't at my best, you know? So yes, honor this beautiful, beautiful time. Okay. Oh, and so let's look at the biohacking, like nutrition wise. So healthy fats, proteins, again, warm food, easy to digest, one broth, soups, stews, iron-rich food for obvious reason, the losing the blood. So yeah, if you eat meat, red meat, but also like lentils, beets, spinach, um, so what else? Dark chocolate, nuts, seeds, so all of that. So really taking care, getting enough nutrients, not just calories, but like very nutritious food. You can just totally rest, or you can do some gentle exercises, maybe yoga, restorative yoga. Depends how you feel. Maybe like gentle dancing, maybe even light weights, like when like at the later days of your menstrual. Sometimes I do just a little bit, but it has to be very like connected to what your body is telling you. So sometimes you just want to rest, and sometimes you want to do some movement, or maybe some healing movements, breathing, stretching. um, so yeah, obviously the intense workouts are not recommended here, because it's actually dangerous. It's not just not recommended, it would be dangerous because, as I said, like let's say estrogen, it protects us from injuries and um, viruses. So during this phase, there is not much that will protect. So if you push through it, you might injure yourself because the joints are a lot more loose, and you're a lot more susceptible to get sick just from a virus as well. Mm. So this is actually a new slide I just added today. Somebody sent it to me. So this is like because they know that I'm so passionate about ice baths these days. So, and it actually already has it done for me. So the ice bath and Wim Hof breath by the face. So as you'll see it here, the follicular and ovulation phase are the best for actual ice baths, and then other phases is maybe just like a cool shower. Yeah, take it a bit gentler, easier. Okay, so a little bit more about estrogen, but actually I feel like I said a lot about it. It's a very important hormone for women. Protects us. It's really good for overall function of the body and cognitive function and immune system and metabolic system, like a lot. And there are ways to stimulate it. Usually there are some supplements, and of course the behaviors that we talked about, that what I call Venus talk, or actually that's not me, it's John Gray, who I did uh, certification with the relationship coach. I'm also a relationship coach. So, and he's the one who wrote the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And he talks about Venus talk, how important it is. And he talks about the hormones in his later book, Beyond Mars and Venus. Amazing book that really goes into the science of the hormones as well, masculine and feminine. And he talks why Venus talk is so important, because it really helps you to produce estrogen, and it's not just in your head. It is very important for your overall well-being, to be able to share, to have somebody to listen to you, to reflect to you without judging or without even giving advice. Just kind of listen, reflect, so you feel heard and feel seen. And again, hence the power of women's circles. It's such a beautiful space, for sharing and get that judgmental space, holding and reflection. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. So progesterone, which is like a pregnancy hormone, and there are some supplements that can help us with it, because if we have good amount of progesterone during a luteal phase or in the fall, we feel a lot more like flowing and yeah, not moody. So great supplement for it is Vitex or chasteberry. It's just an herb, and it's not a hormone itself. It's a precursor. It helps us to produce progesterone. So I take it every day nowadays. Really good. And for estrogen, by the way, I take wild yams, which is also really good for naturally boosting your estrogen. Magnesium is extremely important. I didn't get to the supplement page yet. Okay, I just getting carried away with the supplement. Yeah, here we go. The testosterone is also very important hormone. Sometimes nowadays we get too much of it. I know I just said that, but it is an important hormone. It's very essential for female health. It's the highest in the feminine body as well. Yes, it's lower than in men, but in the feminine body we still have more testosterone than like estrogen, progesterone. So it's a very important hormone. And if it's too low, we're also gonna feel fatigue, low sex drive, muscle weakness, brain fog, depression, anxiety. So it's really important to keep that in mind. And there are some ways to support it naturally. So weight training is extremely important, especially for women, especially as we age. So keep it in mind, weight training. And not just like very light weights, like you need like good, whatever is, appropriate for you. Of course, it depends if you're a beginner or not, but it has to be weight training. So you actually build the muscle, then you build the bone density, you increase your hormones. Yeah, it just helps on so many levels. But again, if it's too high, as some women who stuck in the kind of masculine cycle where we go, go, go at work, then we come home and we also go, go, go. We have other achievements to, accomplish. So then we can get stuck in chronic stress, overworking, and it can cause irritability, difficult to relax, difficult to sleep. Lots of women I hear, oh, I can like sleep well, or I cannot wake up and cannot fall back to sleep. That's one of the reasons as well. But there are a lot more reasons too. Okay, and it's yeah, it also reduces emotional connection, sensitivity. So cortisol is the stress hormone, and I feel like, oh, we all know about the cortisol. It has lots of good things. We do need it. It actually decreases inflammation. We need it for survival. Like we need good healthy dose of cortisol. But what happens to us these days? It's actually a chronic stress. So chronically on this like high cortisol level, and that just ruins the system. Why? Because if the body is in the fight or flight or freeze mode, the body thinks, okay, that's not the time to build. So your immune system goes down. You're not building, you're not nourishing, you're just surviving. So, eventually it's going to deplete yourself. So very important to understand that and take care of it. Prioritizing your yoga, meditation, rest time in nature, time for yourself. Okay, so I wanted to say that I do help women to to kind of reconnect with their cycle, or even if you're not on your cycle anymore, to create, like, design a program for you, which can include like fitness, nutrition, other activities, yoga, breath work, and some tantric practices. Um, so did I put it here? Yeah. So what I do in this, I'd like to do it as a 3 months, one-on-one container. But if you're curious, you can just take one session. You can do 1 month. Again, 3 months, you just really get to see results because you already will do 3 times kind of balancing your cycle, and you can already see great results in 3 months. So yeah, your wellness program in line with the cycle syncing method, the hormonal intelligence method, and also we work with different, like, energy practices and emotional healing work. I'm studying psychotherapy, and I understand that this is so important because sometimes we just emotionally, spiritually not ready. Like, we don't know why we cannot, stop eating that sugar or stop dating that guy, or, there are deeper reasons for it sometimes. So it's not just education, which is important part, but if there is something inside of us, like some pattern, some childhood pattern or ancestral pattern that we are stuck with, then, it's really hard to change something from outside. So how I see my coaching is kind of body, mind, and spirit, which all heard, it's kind of known phrase, but how I take it. So yeah, start with the body usually if you're ready for it, right? There can be like a postural program design because lots of us, like, some postural realignment, and then weights, like safe and effective weights program uh, aligned with your cycle, um, yoga or dance practice. And then we're going to mind, which is like more education, understanding how your system works, and also creating more of this like witness consciousness, um, awareness, what's happening in your energy, in your subtle energy, in your thinking patterns, and the spiritual level where we kind of doing practices to open up the heart, to connect with the great spirit within us and within everything, and heal. So those kind of levels I love to work on, and I have many tools for that. Yeah. So if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, there is this website, lifeforcewell.com, and you just go to transform, and you'll see there's going to be an invitation for a pre-discovery call with me, so you can do that. And at this point, if you go to Life Force Well, you can see membership option. Right now it's free, because I'm still just adding some resources there. There are already some workouts, some yoga videos there, some tantric practices. So there are recorded ones, and I'm also planning to do some like bi-weekly women's circles there, and bi-weekly Kundalini yoga with authentic relating, which Kundalini yoga will be also open for men, but women's circle obviously for women. And yeah, right now it's free. I don't know how long it will be free, probably just another week, and then I'll come up with other options. Yeah, so feel free to join the membership. And right, what else I need to talk a bit more about other hormones like oxytocin, which I already mentioned, the main bonding hormone, and it's extremely important for us because it's like a precursor for us to then build the estrogen and progesterone. And some ways to produce it is very simple, like spend time in nature, play with pets, spend time with kids, do anything that make you feel good. Go for massage, go for treatment, facial, hairdresser. Have somebody help you with something, especially if it's a masculine energy. Get some men to help you with something. That's like one of the best booster of oxytocin. Touch, any non-sexual touch specifically for oxytocin. So like hugs, lots of hugs. That's really amazing for building that. Um, hmm. I know there are lots of information on the slides. If you're curious to actually read it all, let me know. Or actually, it's also on my website. If you go to products, there is a book. So I've converted it into like a little ebook, which you can get just for like $9, and you'll have all of this information. And it's a little book, but it's really many years of experience and learning put together. So yeah, it's very valuable little book. Okay, so I already talked about how to activate and boost oxytocin and estrogen, and that's what activates a feminine energy. So it also then helps us to attract the right partner, or helps us to build better relationship. If we're already in relationship, like helps us to connect with a partner better. So let me here. So it's good to understand the differences, between men and women, because we're like complementary to each other. We're not the same, and that's the biggest mistake when women think that men are just like hairy women, and men think that we're just like little emotional men. We're actually biologically very different. We have different needs, and if we know how to support those needs in each other, it can be very beautiful relationship. Stress hormone cortisol, it actually competes with sex hormones in men and women. So for men, it's also not good because it competes with their testosterone. But for men, again, it's a different talk. To increase testosterone, it's very different than increasing estrogen, for example. With testosterone, you can increase, yes, it's like weight training with some adrenaline kind of boosting activities, like with yeah, kind of risky behaviors. Okay, let's not go there. I want to go back talking about this main difference. Okay, so if I need to give you just like couple tips with that, would be so men hormone testosterone, you can compare it to like elastic band. So it's natural for men to kind of go back, get close to, go back, get close to. And lots of women sometimes interpret it as oh, he's a player or avoidant or this and that, and there can be some of that as well, but also it's good to understand that it's normal testosterone kind of behavior. And men, like, they feel good when testosterone is high, and they really not going to feel good when it's low. So they sometimes like intuitively taking that distance, and they need that space and distance to rebuild testosterone. That if they take their time laying on the couch, if it's not like a habit all day long, then let them. That's how they're not just laying down there, they're actually building their testosterone. If they take in their cave time, when they come back after work and they need that space, they go, and like the woman is following, but I need to talk to you. It's like, no, this is his cave time. This is his testosterone renewing time. So that would be important to understand in terms of men. And for women, for us, well, the whole presentation was about that. But one of the main thing is being heard. So talking. So let your partner know that you have a different need about being heard. And it's really different because if you start to be like a therapist for your masculine partner, that's not gonna go anywhere. It's actually going to ruin the relationship because it's going to create very different dynamic. So yeah, for testosterone specifically, he doesn't need you to be his therapist, but you kind of would benefit from him taking a role of the therapist, in the sense that he just sits there, listens to you, reflects back, gives you hugs, and maybe that's it. But it's important to educate on that. And yeah, there's a lot more I would like to say, but we're running out of time. And yeah, there is a whole other kind of areas how we actually build relationships based on that, based on the chosen polarity, cultivating polarity. But the base of it is being able to be in a feminine energy. Uh, of course, if we're single, we have the balanced energy. We all have masculine and feminine within us, but know how in specific situation to be able to step into your feminine energy, to your feminine radiance, and attract the partner who will resonate with it. So I'd like to leave you with that. And again, feel free to connect with me. Um, I skipped the supplements. Well, I already thought, okay, let's go back to supplements just for a little bit. So as I mentioned, my go-to Vitex for progesterone, wild yams for estrogen, magnesium, so important, but all depleted in it. And that's like the main one for your sleep. You have to normalize your sleep cycle. Yeah, make sure you get enough rest. So magnesium, amazing. Fish oil, very good for your brain and anti-inflammatory. Turmeric was black pepper, curcumin, right? Also anti-inflammatory. I take it every day as well. Reishi mushrooms, they improve your quality of sleep. It's not gonna put you to sleep, but it improves the quality of sleep. Lion's mane, great for your brain memories. And there are other ones, but those might go to an iron. I have to take iron, but it's good to know if you're deficient or not. That's not for everybody, but yeah. All right. Now, if you'd like the cheat sheet, I can send it to you. This is just like for each phase, there are just some main kind of bullet points that you can do during each phase and start optimizing your cycle. And right now, I'm gonna open up space for questions. And